Hi, my name is Sarah, and this video presentation is to explain and tell you about some behaviour modification techniques and methods that can be used to help you overcome a specific phobia. The specific phobia is one of the most common anxiety disorders a person can experience. And there are different types of specific phobias, depending on the feared situation or object. Some include animal phobias, fear of dogs, insects, snakes and mice, situational phobias, fear of a certain situation, such as being on an airplane, driving a car, using public transport, or being in an enclosed place like an elevator, natural environment phobias, fear of storms, heights and water, and blood and injury phobias, fear of seeing blood or being injured. A phobia is a fear in which the level of anxiety or escape and avoidance behaviour is enough to disrupt a person's life. The term phobia refers to a group of symptoms brought on by a certain situation or object. And because you remove yourself from the phobia and the feared situation, you're actually reinforcing this avoidance behaviour, and you'll probably continue to do this in the future, which can make your phobia worse. And you or someone you know could be experiencing a specific phobia and know how difficult it is to actually confront this phobia, this fear, and overcome it. There are behaviour modification methods and techniques to modify and avoid behaviour towards a specific phobia object. And I recently worked with a friend of mine to learn how to confront her phobia, how to avoid the fear. And reward and reinforcement are important, so you continue to act out the new and desired behaviour in the future. Effective interventions include in vivo or gradual exposure to the feared object or phobic situation. Gradually exposing yourself to this situation over a period of time. Education information, as well as seeing someone model this behaviour, can be very helpful. And the first step to gradual exposure is to develop a hierarchy, so steps or levels, to modify this specific phobia. Using in vivo to gradually confront the phobic situation, listing the steps, and working towards the end goal of being able to expose yourself to this situation. It can be any number as long as it gradually gets you towards this end goal, and with minimal fear and anxiety. The use of the rating scale, or subjective units of distress scale, or SUDS, from 0 to 100 to rate your level of distress for each step. And this will help you see when your anxiety and distress have lowered enough for you to move to the next step. And only when the person is comfortable do you move to the next step. For example, I recently worked with a friend of mine who has a debilitating fear of an elevator. And this elevator in particular is one at her place of employment, as she was trapped in once, as she has fear and anxiety and avoidance now towards it and won't use it at all. This interferes with her emotionally and socially, so she was very determined to overcome this. And we worked together to develop 6 hierarchy levels or steps for her to go through to eventually use the elevator alone, which was her end goal. Her 10 to 20 rating on the SUD scale was being near or standing outside of the elevator, and her 100 level rating SUD scale was being in the elevator alone. So to help her, working with her to overcome this, it actually helps the person with the phobia understand their own phobia, their levels of distress, how severe it is, and what exactly it is that they're afraid of. Then you need to make a baseline, and once you have set a baseline, you can start the gradual exposure, working from this baseline towards the steps and the eventual end goal. Standing outside the elevator was my friend's baseline and our starting point. The 6 hierarchical steps that my friend and I used throughout her behaviour modification was the first was to stand near and outside the elevator. The second was we would both enter the elevator while it was stationary. The third was I would use the elevator and model the behaviour in a calm and safe way. The fourth was we would go together in the elevator and I would operate it. The fifth step was I would be in the elevator with her while she operated it. And the sixth step was she would operate the elevator alone with the phone to communicate. It is important to praise the person as they progress through the levels and the steps to reinforce the new and desired behaviour so it will continue in the future. And once they are comfortable with the first level and step, this is when you move on to the next step and continue on until you get to the end goal, whilst using SUDS as the rating through each step so you know when to move up. This took a period of 7 weeks, so 14 sessions of about half an hour each for my friend and I to work through her steps and to get to her end goal, to use the elevator alone. It's important that you reward the approach behaviour and you can praise the person and you get this praise from the person assisting you, or you find something that is reinforcing and rewarding to you. To maintain this new behaviour over time, you should use self-maintenance or management, where you actually continue to expose yourself to your once feared stimulus and continue to reward yourself as you improve along the way. It's fundamental that you want to change. You have to have this desire to change and modify your phobia, your feared behaviour, and know that you will have to approach the thing that you fear. My friend was very determined to do this, to achieve her goal, which she did, and she believed in herself and knew that I believed in her. So I hope this helps you or someone you know to overcome a specific phobia.